This is Raja Avala, Faculty of History for the Civil Services and Group 1 aspirants. We are discussing modern Indian history. In the modern Indian history, today's topic is Bengal Nawabs and the British. The wars between the Bengal Nawabs and the British. Before going to the wars, we will discuss about the Bengal. Bengal, it is very important area to the Southeast Asian countries. This is the Bengal. This is very important to the trade, Southeast Asian trade. In the ancient period, Bengal is called as Tamralipti. The fort of the Bengal, ancient fort of the Bengal is called as Tamralipti. It is very, very important trade center for the Southeast Asian countries. Same like that. It is a big trade center for the Dutch, British and also French. Dutch, British and also French. All these they established their trade centers in different areas of the Bengal. In the different areas of the Bengal. So this is the Bengal background. Next to British East India Company, they established first trade center at Eastern India. First trade center in the Eastern India, that is Hariharapur on the Mahanadi Delta, that is there in the Bihar. Hariharapur in the Bihar. This area, this was the first trade center of the British East India Company in the eastern coast of Mahanadi Delta in 1633, in the year 1633. After this, first English East India factory that he established in Bengal, that was Hooghly in 1651. So for this establishment of the first trade center of British East India Company in Hooghly in 1651, permission was given by the Shah Shuja. By that time, Sultan Shah Shuja. Who was Shah Shuja? Shah Shuja, he was the second son of Shah Jahan. While he was working as a Subedar of Bengal, Shah Jahan, he had 4 sons. Shah Jahan had 4 sons. Dara Shikoh, Shah Shuja, Aurangzeb and Murad Bakshi. So during the time of the Shah Jahan period, Dara Shikoh, he was governor of the northwestern frontier provinces, that is Punjab, Sindh area. Shah Shuja, Bengal. Aurangzeb, Deccan. Aurangzeb, he was there in the Deccan. Murad Bakshi, he was there in the Gujarat. So like 4 regions, 4 provinces. Shah Shuja, while he was in the Bengal, he gave permission to the British East India Company to establish trade center at Hooghly. Hooghly was the first trade center of the British East India Company at Bengal. So after this, in the same year, British East India Company, they sent Mr. Bonton, a doctor. He was a doctor sent to the Bengal to give service, to render service, medical services for the royal lady, the Subanidar. And whenever he gave medical services to the royal lady, she got cured. By that time, Subadar granted company privileges of the free trade. This free trade was given to the Bengal, Bihar, Orissa areas. For this Bengal, Bihar, Orissa areas, they can pay just 3,000 rupees per annum. Lump sum amount 3,000 rupees per annum. That was the free trade. For this they also gave dastaks. Dastaks are the passes. giving pass for the trade. After this, in 1672, similar Farmana was given by the Shaista Khan. Who was Shaista Khan? Shaista Khan, he was uncle of Aurangzeb. Shaista Khan, he was uncle of Aurangzeb. He was working as a Subedar of the Bengal during the time of the Aurangzeb period. He was working as a Subedar of the Bengal. He gave permission to the British East India Company in 1672, gave the same Farmana. Whatever they granted the Farmana, same was continued. But in the Bengal, they were exempted from the taxes, exempted from the trade duties. They were exempted from the trade duties. After this, in 1691, in the year 1691, Job Charnock, he established a trade center at Sutanadi. English British East India Company officer Job Charnock, he established a factory at Sutanadi. This is most important because after this he also purchased other areas of Bengal. Whenever he established at Sutanadi, soon after the places Kasim Bazar, Patna and other places were established different factories. In 1698, the English obtained from the Subedar Azimussan, he gave Sutanati, Kalikatta, Govindapur. These areas were given to the British East India Company by the Azimussan. For giving these three areas to the British East India Company paid an amount just 1200 rupees. A payment of the 1200 rupees was given to the Azimussan. So after this, Sutanati, Govindapur, Kalighat, this is area called Kalighat. These three areas were combinedly constructed as Calcutta by Job Charnock. Job Charnock, he was founder of the Calcutta. Calcutta is a combination of Sutanati, Govindapur, Kalighat, these three areas. By 1700, Job Charnock, by 1700, he constructed fort, that is St. William Fort. St. William Fort was constructed at Calcutta. This St. William Fort became seat of the presidency. It was the seat of the presidency. Before the construction of the St. William, that means before construction of the St. William in 1700, British East India Company, they continued trade from the headquarters of Madras. Madras as the headquarters. Before the establishment of the Fort William, they continued their activities from the Madras. But whenever they constructed St. William Fort, for the St. William Fort, they appointed Sir Charles Eyre as a first president or first governor for the St. William Fort. Sir Charles Eyre was the first president of the fort. So after this, in 1715, John Sharnam, Edward Stephenson and William Hamilton, all these formed a mission. These three formed a mission. In these three, William Hamilton, he was a surgeon. He was a surgeon. He cured Farrukhsiyar, a disease which was suffering. Farrukhsiyar was suffering by this time, 1715. Farrukhsiyar, he was suffering with a disease. With that disease was cured by Hamilton. Whenever Hamilton cured the disease, English they got three farmanas. That is in 1717. In the year 1717, Farrukhsiyar, he gave golden farmana to the British East India Company. This is what called as golden farmana. This is also called as Magna Carta. Magna Carta was given to the British. You can remember 1717 Farmana is also called as Golden Farmana, which was given by the Farrukhsiyar to the British East India Company. And this is also called as Magna Carta. This was given just for the payment of the 3000 rupees per annum from Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Awadh areas. So British East India Company, they continued their trade in all these areas just for the cost of the 3000 rupees per annum. So company was allowed to rent additional lands around the Calcutta. They had given some rental lands to the, that means Farrukhsiyar also gave some rental lands to the company around the Calcutta. Yeah, this is what I told to you. 1717 confirmed the trade privileges granted by the Farrukhsiyar. That is about the Bengal and British East India Company. Now we discuss the Bengal and British East India Company. Coming to this point, in 1651, in the year 1651, first trade center of the British East India Company established at Hooghly. Latter period, 1689. Latter period in 1689, Suttanati, a factory found at Suttanati by Job Charnock. Suttanati by the Job Charnock. But during this period, British East India Company, they did not pay money to the Aurangzeb. That's why Aurangzeb ordered to arrest all the people in 1700. Aurangzeb, he ordered to arrest all the British men which were there in Calcutta. But there occurred some immediately British, they paid amount. So Aurangzeb withdrawn that. 1700 they constructed St. William Fort. St. William Fort was a headquarters of the British East India Company for the trade activities of Eastern India, and first governor of the St. William Fort was Sir Hyde. He was the first chairman of this Sir Hyde. So this happened. So by 1700 they completed the even Calcutta, Suttanati, Govindapur, Kalighat. These three areas combinedly constructed as a Calcutta by the Job Charnock. So like this is about the British East India Company and Bengal. The relationship between East India Company and Bengal. Next, coming to the point of the Bengal Nawabs. Here we will discuss about the Bengal Nawabs. Bengal state. Bengal state became independent state under the Murshid Quli Khan. He was appointed as a Subedar of the Bengal. Farrukhsiyar, during this period, he granted governorship of Orissa also. Murshid Quli Khan, he was appointed as a governor of Bengal, as well as latter period he was appointed as a governor of Orissa in 1719. By this time, 1717 itself, Murshid Quli Khan, 1717 itself, Murshid Quli Khan, he declared independence. and he transferred capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad. Whenever he came to the throne, whenever he declared independence, there occurred three major uprisings during his period. First by the Sitaram Rai, next to Udayanarayan and Ghulam Manohar. All these three were finally suppressed by the Murshid Quli Khan. Later period, Sujat Khan also revolted against the Nawab. He was also suppressed by the Murshid Quli Khan. Murshid Quli Khan, originally he appointed in 1700 as a Bengal Nawab. He became Nawab Nazim, that is deputy governor of the Bengal. Later period, Bengal and Orissa. In 1717, he was appointed as a permanent Nazim for the Bengal. This already we discussed. Permanent Nizam of the Bengal. This already we discussed. Initially, this Murshid Quli Khan, he sent a nominal tribute to the Delhi. Whenever he shifted capital Murshidabad from Dhaka, he opposed the grant to additional villages to the English East India Company, which was given by the Farrukh Shiar. This is important to understand. Originally 1717, Farrukh Shiar gave Farmana to the British East India Company. In that Farmana, he gave some villages, but British asked some other additional villages from the Murshid Quli Khan. Murshid Quli Khan, he did not accept to give additional villages to the English East India Company, which was already given by the Magna Carta of the company. So he prevented the misuse of the Murshid Quli Khan. Remember here, Murshid Quli Khan, or he prevented misuse of the dastaks. Dastaks means free pass. Dastak means free pass which was given to the British East India Company. But they are going to utilize this more and more. They are taking more and more passes, and for the extension of the trade, this dastaks, misuse of the dastaks was stopped by the Murshid Quli Khan. There occurred the clash between the Murshid Quli Khan and British East India Company. But later period, after the Murshid Quli Khan, Shuja'ud-Dawla, he came to the throne. He added some provinces. He had also same problem with the British East India Company, same problem with the British East India Company, that is misuse of the dastaks. Each and every Bengal Nawab, they faced troubles with 1717 Farmana. Each and every Nawab, they got troubles with 1717 Farmana, which was given by the Farrukh Shiar for the British. Even Shuja'ud-Dawla, after the Shuja'ud-Dawla, Sarfaraz Khan, he ruled from 1739 to 1740, only 1 year. But during this period, Alivardi Khan, he was deputy Nawab, deputy Naim. Alivardi Khan, he killed Sarfaraz Khan, and Alivardi Khan became Nawab of Bengal. He continued from 1740 to 1756. He secured Muhammad Shah Rangila. By this time, 1740 to 1756, Muhammad Shah Rangila, he was Mughal emperor. From 1720 to Mughal emperor from 1720 to 1748. For the Muhammad Shah Rangila, he secured Muhammad Shah Rangila consent by the sending of rupees 2 crore rupees as a tribute. 2 crore rupees as a tribute. But finally, Ali Khan, he developed Bengal. He developed Bengal. Bengal became economically, politically developed under the Ali Khan period. But Ali Khan had no sons. He had no sons. Whenever he died, his daughter's son, that means grandson, daughter's son, that is Siraj-ud-Dawla, became became Nawab of the Bengal. Siraj-ud-Dawla was not son of the Ali Khan. Remember, Siraj-ud-Dawla, daughter's son of the Ali Khan. In 1741, Ali Khan, the deputy governor of Bihar, and Nawab Sarfaraz Khan, this rose the revolt and killed the Nawab. Sarfaraz Khan was killed by Ali Khan. This is the meaning of this sentence. Ali Khan killed Sarfaraz Khan. Ali Khan rule was 15 years. In this 15 years rule of Ali Khan, always he fought with Marathas. Many times he fought with Marathas. Many times Maratha menace, they invaded the Bengal. So he faced troubles with the Marathas. Ali Khan, he died in 1756. He was succeeded by the Siraj-ud-Dawla. Siraj-ud-Dawla, rival claimant, that means Siraj-ud-Dawla coming to the throne was not accepted by several people, that is Shaukat Jung of the Pune and Gasti Begum of Dhaka. Shaukat Jung, Gasti Begum, these two were the rivals. These two did not accepted Siraj-ud-Dawla as a Bengal Nawab. These two were not accepted. But whatever it may be, Siraj-ud-Dawla, he became Nawab of the Bengal. Siraj, the son of the Ali Khan's youngest daughter, was opposed by his aunt Gasti Begum. Gasti Begum, she was wife of Ali Khan. Wife of Ali Khan, that is widow of the governor of Dhaka, she did not accepted Siraj as the ruler. Siraj as Bengal Nawab did not accepted by the Gasti Begum. And his cousin Shaukat Jung, cousin of the Siraj-ud-Dawla, Shaukat Jung was also not accepted. Gasti Begum was supported by the Diwan Raj Durlab, who led opposing the party. Raj Durlab, he was Diwan, Raj Durlab was the Diwan. He led opposition party which was opposed by the Siraj-ud-Dawla, Gasti Begum, Shaukat Jung. Gasti Begum, Shaukat Jung and Raj Durlab. These three became rivals of the Siraj. That you have to remember. And the differences, whenever here Siraj-ud-Dawla, here we have to know one thing, Siraj-ud-Dawla, he had enemies in his own family. And also he made some discussions and he made some clashes with the British East India Company also. Differences with the British East India Company arises between Siraj-ud-Dawla, Siraj versus British East India Company. What are the causes? Mainly misuse of the dastaks by the company servants. Instead of the paying the taxes on their duty on the goods, English imposed heavy duties on Indian goods entering into the Calcutta. English East India Company, they laid more and more duties, but duties are very less to the English goods, but duties are very high to the Indian goods. Misuse of the dastaks, high duty of the Indian goods, that is another point. Next to the English had supported the Rai Dullab, Gasti Begum. English supported these two persons. That means English East India Company, British East India Company supported the rivals of Shiraz. Rivals of Shiraz. Rai Dullab's son Krishna Dullab was given shelter to the Qasim Bazar by the Watts. He was an Englishman. The main reason was beginning of the fortification of Calcutta and anticipation of round of the Anglo-French rivalry. During this period, 1756, whenever Shiraz came to the throne, came to the Bengal Nawab, by this time there was ongoing fight in the Anglo-French war in the South India, Karnataka. So, whenever there was a Anglo-French war, Shiraz he ordered to stop fortifications. He ordered to stop the fortifications for both French and British. French colony was Chandranagore was an important place of the French. Qasim Bazar, Chandranagore, these are the important places of the French East India Company in Bengal. Whenever Siraj-ud-Dawla ordered to stop the fortifications, French stopped, but English did not stop. Whenever English did not stop, Shiraz became a rival of the English, and Shiraz he wanted to show his power towards the English East India Company. So Shiraz he seized Qasim Bazar, which was the British East India Company trade center. Siraj-ud-Dawla he seized this British East India Company trade center. Not only seized Qasim Bazar, but also Siraj-ud-Dawla he captured Fort William. In 28th June 1756, Fort William was surrendered. By this time, the Fort William governor was Drake, Governor Roger Drake. Roger Drake he was defeated, and Roger Drake he escaped to the Phult Islands of the Indonesia. Calcutta St. William Fort was captured by Shiraz. Remember here, coming to the point first, in the 1756 there was ongoing fight between the French and English at Karnataka. These are the Karnataka Wars. By this time, French and British they started fortifications in Bengal. Whenever French and British started fortifications in the Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla he ordered to stop the fortifications. French they stopped, but British East India Company did not stop. That's why he became angry against the British East India Company. He wanted to take revenge against the British East India Company. Shiraz he occupied Qasim Bazar, and also Shiraz occupied Fort William. The Fort William governor Drake he afraid, and he left the Phult Islands, that those were there in the Indonesia. This happened. After this, Calcutta Black Hole Tragedy. Calcutta Black Hole Tragedy is occurred. Yes, it was at this period. It was at this period. Whenever Shiraz captured St. William Fort, and Shiraz also captured some Englishmen. All these Englishmen were sent to the one dark room. Around 146 Englishmen with children, lodged into a prison room that was completely dark room. This was happened 20th June. Next day, whenever opened the door, only 23 were alive. The remaining 123 members were died. Out of the 146, only 23 were alive. 123 members were died because of the suffocation in the darkness. In that, the witness was J.Z. Hallwell. J.Z. Hallwell, he was a witness of the Black Hole Tragedy, and also he was the author of the Black Hole Tragedy. So he did not mention the names of the victims, those who died. He wrote about this entire story, but he did not mention who died. That was the doubt, whether 123 members died or not. But there might be some loss of the lives happened. There might be some loss of the lives happened, but not that much of thing. This is what called as Black Hole Tragedy in the history of the modern India. Hallwell, he said that H.G. Hallwell, one of the survivors of, that means one of the 23 members, he said that 146 people were pumped into a room that is 18 feet 14 inches. That is only 18 feet 14 inches. 28 members can survive in the room. That means 28 members can be fit into the room. Instead of the 28 members, 146 members were sent. So, out of 146, only 23 alive according to the Hallwell. This was not done intentionally by the Shiraz, but was due to the carelessness of the Nawab's officers. It was not intentionally done by the Shiraz, but some carelessness was Nawab's officers. The term black hole was the current term for the local lockup or temporary goal. This is, we are using this black hole also for the temporary lockup. Whatever it may be, this Black Hole Tragedy became very popular of that period. The Nawab placed to the Calcutta. After this Nawab, Calcutta was given to the, that means Siraj-ud-Dawla, Calcutta was given to the Manik Chand. He gave Calcutta to the Manik Chand and he returned to the Murshidabad. But what happened? Manik Chand, he took some lump sum amount for the British East India Company, and he returned Calcutta to the British East India Company. He took bribe. So he committed for the corruption. He became corrupted. He gave Calcutta to the British East India Company. Meanwhile, Shaukat Jung had secured from the Alangir II. Alangir II was, by this time, Alangir II was the Mughal emperor. He was from 1754 to 1760. Alangir was the Mughal emperor. He gave Subedarship to the Shaukat Jung. Shiraz, he defeated Shaukat Jung and Shiraz killed the Shaukat Jung. Shiraz, he defeated and killed the Shaukat Jung. That happened. That was finished. At later period, Shiraz, he made more enemies. Coming to the point of the Siraz, the attitude of the Siraz was not liked by the many people. Army General, Siraz Army General Mir Jafar, he was also called as Mir Bakshi. Enemies, Omni Chand, he was a mediator called merchant. Manik Chand, he was Calcutta in charge. Jagat Seth, he was a big rich man in the Calcutta. Raidullah, Kadim Khan, these two were the army officers of the Siraz. So all these are rivals of the Siraz. All these are rivals of the Siraz. All these rivals, they made friendship with Robert Clive. Finally, they made and they gave help to the Robert Clive against Siraz, against the Siraz. That happened in the Battle of Plassy. Now coming to the point of the Battle of Plassy. What is the main cause for the Battle of Plassy? According to some historians, black hole tragedy is the main cause for the Battle of Plassy. Robert Clive was sent to the Bengal. Robert Clive, he was power thirsty, war thirsty. He wanted to occupy the Bengal, complete Bengal. So he made friendship with the earlier members. And Robert Clive, he gathered the enemies of Siraj-ud-Dawla. Then after that went for the war, that is what called as Battle of Plassy, occurred in 1757, June 23. This war occurred between the British and Bengal Nawab Siraz. This battle took place at Plassy. Plassy, it is modern Plassy. In the English books, it is called as Plassy, on the river bank of the Hooghly. By this time, the contemporary events, coming to the point of the contemporary events of this period, 7 years war in the Europe, that is 7 years war continuing in the Europe, and third Karnataka war is continuing in the South India between the French and British. One side British, they are fighting with the French in the South India, Karnataka. Another side, they were fighting with Shiraz. For the support of the Siraz, there are only two loyal officers called Madan Khan and Diwan Mohanlal. Mir Madan Khan and Diwan Mohanlal, these two were the faithful, trustful army generals for the Nawab. Remaining all, they gave hand, they took some bribe, or they went to the Robert Clive. What are those people? All these people. Mir Jafar, Omni Chand, Manik Chand. Actually, why he was Omni Chand is called as a mediator. Omni Chand, he took Robert Clive to speak with Mir Jafar. So, Omni Chand, he became mediator between the Mir Jafar and Robert Clive. There occurred treaty between the Mir Jafar and Robert Clive. According to this treaty, Mir Jafar will become Bengal Nawab and Mir Jafar would give huge amount to the British war indemnity. Siraj-ud-Dawla, he fought with British. Siraj-ud-Dawla had vastly numerically superior force than the British. Even though he was numerically superior, but the persons who are working with Siraj-ud-Dawla, they helped to the British. The battle was a namesake. Even army chief of Siraj-ud-Dawla, Mir Jafar, he acted like a warrior. He acted like a warrior. War was only 11 hours. War was continued only 11 hours. Siraz was defeated by the Robert Clive. Madan Khan, I told to you, Mir Madan Khan and also Diwan Mohanlal, these two were died in the battlefield. These two were killed in the battlefield. Siraz, he was also defeated. along with his wife, while he was escaping to the Murshidabad, Siraj was captured by the Miran. Miran killed Siraj. Miran hanged the Siraj. Miran, who was Miran? Miran was son of Mir Jafar. So, Mir Jafar army generals Madan Khan and Mohanlal were died. Sirajuddaulah's army general Madan Khan and Diwan Mohanlal were died. Siraj also, while he was escaping, he was caught by the Miran, son of the Mir Jafar. Miran killed the Siraj, hanged the Siraj. That happened. So by this ended 1757 Battle of Plassy. 1757 Battle of Plassy, British East India Company scored victory over Bengal Nawabs. British East India Company scored victory over the Bengal Nawabs. Aftermath of the war. After the war, what happened? After the war, 1757, Mir Jafar became Bengal Nawab according to the treaty between the Mir Jafar and Robert Clive. These two planned, and Sirajuddaulah killed. Mir Jafar became the Bengal Nawab after the war. And Mir Jafar, he gave 177 lakhs to the British East India Company as war indemnity, that is war loss. War loss was given to the British East India Company as a cash 177 lakhs of the rupees. Along with this, Mir Jafar gave 24 paraganas to the British East India Company. 24 paraganas were given to the British East India Company. 1757, British, they established Mint Center at Calcutta. They also established the Mint Center at Calcutta. Economical looting started. From 1757 itself, the loot of the economy of India has been started. Whenever they started this Mint Center and everything. Thus why 1757 Battle of Plassy can be considered as foundation of British East India Company. Foundation of British East India Company in India. Foundation of British East India Company rule in India. In 1760, what is that? Mir Jafar, he was a Bengal Nawab from 1757 to 1760. In the year 1760, because of the economic loot of the British, Bengal treasury became empty. And Mir Jafar, he could not able to give more and more gifts to the British. That's why British East India Company dethroned Mir Jafar, and the British East India Company, they appointed Mir Qasim. Drain of wealth from India to the Britain started even during the time of the Mir Jafar period. In 1760, Mir Jafar was dethroned and Mir Qasim, he came to the throne. Mir Qasim continued from 1760 to 1763. Here also same problem, misuse of the dastaks. Whenever Mir Qasim became the Nawab of the Bengal, he gave Midnapur, Chittagong, Burdwan to the British, and he asked to the British not to involve any internal affairs of the Bengal politics. But British, they did not do that. British, they started. And even Mir Qasim, he also shifted capital from Murshidabad to the Mongai, that is there in the Bihar. But British, they did not stand on their oath. British again started misuse of the dastaks. This misuse of the dastaks started conflict between the Mir Qasim and British. It went for war even. It went to the even some wars. Because of some small wars in 1762, Major Adams, he was Army General of the British East India Company, Army General of the British East India Company. He directly invaded the Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim, he was defeated and he escaped to the Awadh. Mir Qasim was defeated, Mir Qasim escaped to the Awadh in 1762. After this, in the year 1763, again British East India Company, they appointed Mir Jafar as a Bengal Nawab. Come to here, Mir Jafar, he was Bengal Nawab from 1757 to 1760. Next, Mir Qasim, he was Bengal Nawab from 1760 to 1763. After the Mir Qasim, again Mir Jafar, 1763 to 1765. Second time Mir Jafar. British, they realized that Mir Jafar is more better than the Mir Qasim. That's why they dethroned Mir Qasim. They again appointed Mir Jafar. By this time Mir Jafar, he was suffering with leprosy disease. He was also suffering with the leprosy disease of this period, Mir Jafar. 1763, again Mir Jafar became Bengal Nawab. By this time, the dethroned Mir Qasim, what he did? He escaped to the Awadh. He escaped to the Awadh. Now, by this time, Awadh Nawab was Shuja'ud-Dawla. Shuja'ud-Dawla, he was Awadh Nawab. Shuja'ud-Dawla, Shah Alam II, Mughal Emperor, and Mir Qasim. Shah Alam II, Shuja'ud-Dawla. These three on one side. They wanted to fight with, they ready to fight with British. That led for the next war, that is Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim, Shah Alam II, Shuja'ud-Dawla one side, and another side British. Coming to the point of the Battle of Buxar, it started in 1764 October 22. Buxar is situated in the Bihar. It is war between the Mir Qasim and British. Mir Qasim means not only Mir Qasim, ex-Bengal Nawab, Shah Alam II, Mughal Emperor, Shuja'ud-Dawla, he was Awadh Nawab. These three one side versus British. By this time, 178, he was Governor of Bengal. 178 was the Governor of Bengal, British Governor of Bengal. So in this war started in 1764 October 22nd. In this war, Mir Qasim was defeated. Mir Qasim and Shuja'ud-Dawla. This Shuja'ud-Dawla and Mir Qasim, these two, they escaped. Shah Alam II was caught by the British. And Shah Alam II accepted for the Treaty of Allahabad. 1765, Treaty of Allahabad. For this 1765 Treaty of Allahabad, Robert Clive, he came to India for second time in 1765. In the year 1765, Treaty of Allahabad between Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II and British East India Company Robert Clive. Robert Clive, he made Treaty of Allahabad with Mughal Emperor. So Mughal Emperor was given to the area of the Kara and other things. Mir Qasim was killed at Kara. By this time Mir Qasim was killed at Kara. And Shuja Uddawla, he was given 50 lakhs and taken out. Shuja Uddawla gave 50 lakhs to the British and he has taken Awadh. Mir Jafar also died because he was suffering with diseases. Nazim Uddawla, the son of the Mir Jafar, became Bengal Nawab. And British East India Company, they made treaty of Allahabad with Mughal Emperor. What happened in that Treaty of Allahabad? Because of the Treaty of Allahabad, Diwan rights were given to the British East India Company. Diwani rights means to collect taxes from Indian peasants. To collect taxes from the Indian peasants. British East India Company, they got right to collect taxes from the Indian peasants. Mughal Emperor was given Kara, Allahabad with 20 lakhs cash. This was accepted by the Robert Clive. By this time, Robert Clive, he gave, he introduced dual system of the government. In this dual system of the government, there are two things, Nizamat and Adalat. Diwani Nizamat, Diwani Adalat. Diwani Nizamat related to the administration, Diwani Adalat related to the revenue. Revenue was given to the British East India Company. Revenue was in the hands of the British East India Company. Administration was in the hands of the Nizam. Who was Nizam of that period? Nazim Uddawla. This dual system of government in 1765 introduced by the Robert Clive. In 1767, Robert Clive, he left India, went to the England. Dual government was failed because Robert Clive committed bribe. Robert Clive was corrupted. There occurred a committee. They appointed a committee on the activities of the Robert Clive. Committee was on the Robert Clive activities. According to this committee, Robert Clive was cast for the killing of Siraz Uddawla. Killing of Siraz. Robert Clive, he was cast for the killing of Siraz. And also Robert Clive, he was cast for the bribes, several bribes. He was taken bribe and also he has given the bribe to the Mughal Emperor and also Shuja Uddawla. Awadh Nawab. For the Mughal Emperor, for the Awadh Nawab, he gave bribe and also he took bribe from them. And because of these activities, Robert Clive, he also accepted to give 32 lakhs rupees per annum to the Mughal Emperor and also 18 lakhs rupees to the annum for the Awadh Nawab, Shuja Uddawla. This was also biggest burden to the British East India Company. All these were known by the committee. Committee gave report. Robert Clive, He was biggest personality in India. Robert Clive, coming to the point of the Robert Clive, in 1751, he made siege of Arcot. By that time, he was called as Arcot, hero of Arcot. He got the title hero of Arcot. 1757, whenever he got victory over the Battle of Plassy, he got the title Victor of Plassy. Victor of Plassy. And Indra on the earth, Indra on earth, that is Lord on earth. And he was also given Viceroy of Ireland, Viceroy of Ireland. But Indians called Robert Clive as Jackal of Bengal. Jackal of Bengal. This asked earlier, who was called as Jackal of Bengal? Indians called Robert Clive as Jackal of Bengal, but British they called Hero of Arcot, Victor of Plassy, Indra on the earth, that is Lord on the earth, Viceroy of Ireland. All these titles were given to the Robert Clive. But finally what happened? A committee made report against the Robert Clive. Because of that committee, Robert Clive will go to the death sentence. Robert Clive will go to the death sentence. That means hanging. Because of that, one day in the early morning, one fine morning, he woke up from the bed, and while he was thinking about his past things, his daughter brought sharpener and pencil. Sharpener means like a blade. Sharpener and pencil to the Robert Clive to sharpen the pencil. And while Robert Clive he was sharpening the pencil, he revealed all the past things, and directly he cut his nerve. He committed suicide. Robert Clive committed suicide. Dual government was failed. After the failure of the dual government in 1773, a regulating act was introduced by the British East India Company. So this is about the Bengal Wars, Plassy War and Buxar War. These two wars are completed in this video. In the next video, in the point of the modern Indian history, we will continue some other wars like Anglo-Mysore War. In the next video, we will continue with Anglo-Mysore Wars. Till now, we completed Karnataka Wars and also Bengal Wars. Karnataka Wars, Bengal Wars has been completed. Next, Anglo-Mysore Wars are there, Anglo-Maratha Wars are there, and Anglo-Sikh Wars. By these wars, we will complete the chapter, that is annexation of the British in India. Okay, good luck to you.